Hello, welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today, Konami has released a Rage the Abyss set introduction and gameplay video and all that. They live streamed a couple hours ago and all that, of course. And of course, they introduced the second wave of support of the MIMIGHOUL'S stuff. If you want to wear the MIMIGHOUL'S stuff and all that, right? They are a archetype based off of flip monsters that give your opponent detrimental effects because they have effects that can special summon themselves to your opponent's field and face down defense position and all. So, obviously, if you don't know the first support, we'll go over to the level 1 MIMIGHOUL'S and all that, right? So they all share the effect. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field and face down defense position. And a few of them do have a few other effects and all that, but that's the one that they share the most and all that. Dragon, if he gets flipped face up, is basically a Raigeki and all that, right? Cerberus banishes the top 3 from your deck, and then you special summon one of their banished monsters to your opponent's field in defense. And Archfiend, you, the person that special summoned the MIMIGHOUL monsters to their field, you draw a card, then your opponent sends a card from their hand to the graveyard, right? As in the current controller of this card, and then all of them also share this effect where they give control of this card to their opponent. Now, Master is a level 4 that does not have the aforementioned special summon effect. However, he is the main searcher for the monsters and all that. He cannot be destroyed by battle card effects while your opponent controls any face down monsters, or you control another MIMIGHOUL monster that's not Master. And during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can flip up a face down monster and all that to face up attack and or defense. Master is the most important cards, the most important card in the archetype, as he's a way to manually flip up the MIMIGHOUL'S and all that, right? Generally, you want to get a dragon or a Cerberus and all that, right? To your opponent's field, flip it up, they lose 3 cards, or they get their field wiped and all that, right? And then they do have a really good field spell, Dungeon. Obviously, it searches your monsters and all that, right? Also gets it from the graveyard, and it has a really interesting floodgate effect. MIMIGHOUL monsters you control that are not normal special summon this turn gain attack equal to the defense, and then any player who controls a face down monster cannot normal summon monsters nor declare an attack with monsters that were special summoned this turn and all that. Of course, there are a few ways to bypass this and all that, right? But essentially can normal summon, right, if you have it face down, right? Can he and all that, right? Or declare an attack with monster that are special in this turn, as long as they're a face down monster and all that, right? So and then they do have a few other spells. Maker, you reveal 2 flip monsters, not MIMIGHOUL monsters, flip monsters with different names. Your opponent does a 50-50. You pray you get a good one, you give them the bad one, right? And then you can special summon a MIMIGHOUL from your hand, and then it has a graveyard effect. You special summon a monster, except during the damage step. Banish this card from graveyard, then target it face down, flip it face up, right? Maker's cool. This is cool. Of course, having only 3 MIMIGHOUL'S and then the Master, right, means that you pray that you hit the 50-50, that you get the Master, and your opponent gets Dragon or Cerberus and all that, right? And then their trap room, you summon a MIMIGHOUL from hand or deck, and all that, right, to your field or face down defense position to your opponent's field, and then you can flip a monster face up, right? And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target any number of MIMIGHOUL cards you control, return to their hand. This helps reset Master and Dungeon and Dragon and any of the ones that were given back, right, because of their flip effects, right, and all that. Problem with both Maker and Room, you can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once that turn. If they didn't have that, these would be infinitely better, but I'm not part of the R&D team. But the new support, though, they're real good. So they got 7 cards, I believe, and then they got so we got MIMIGHOUL armor, right? Again, all the new MIMIGHOUL'S share the same effect, right? However, they have a little extra to it, right? Or if your opponent controls a monster, you can special this card face up on your field. Same with Fairy and same with Slime. There's a reason for that. We'll get to that in a sec. Mimigoul Armor's flip effect. This turn, Mimigoul monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, and you give this card to your opponent, aka the owner. Fairy. This turn, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters special summon from your hand. And of course gives it to your opponent. And then Slime, your opponent can special summon one Mimigoul monster from your deck to their field. This is what the deck needs. Slime is excellent because if you don't have access to Master, this gets you Master or Dragon or any other Mimigouls that you need and all that, right? And of course, all of them do share the special summon effect to your field or your opponent's field face down. Slime is excellent for this deck. This is what they need. And then they got two new Xyz, Giant Mimigoul and Mimigoul Throne. Giant Mimigoul has a nice continuous effect where your non-Xyz Mimigouls can attack directly while your opponent controls a face down. So of course you can give them a face down and then start attacking for game, right? With Dungeon giving them the extra oomph, right? And all that, right? You're not gonna attack directly with Slime or Fairy, of course, but hey, Armor's going to 21, right? Archfiend going for 19, 22, 25, and of course 3k with Master. That's a lot of damage right there, right? And of course, if this card is Xyz summon, add a Mimigoul card from your deck to your hand. This one is your generic searcher, and then it has a nice trigger destruction effect. Attach material from this card, then target cards, face up cards on the field up to the number of face down monsters your opponent controls. Destroy them, and if you do, if a stack for them, which is pretty good and all that, right? Gets rid of problematic stuff, right? Throne. They both require 2 level 1 level. This one only requires level 1 monsters, but Throne needs 2 level 1 Mimigoul monsters and all that. You can detach 1 material from this card. Special summon a Master from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Excellent, right? Another way to get to Master, right? This is great and all that. Master is one of the more important cards of the deck. Fantastic. And of course, what's a Master without his Throne, right? During the main phase, quick effect, target a Master you control. This card is equipped to it as an equip spell that gives it 1,000 attack. Then return cards from the field to the hand up to the number of materials this card had. But, you know, you can only use 1 Throne effect per turn once per turn. This part doesn't really matter, right? Because if you are going first, right, your Mimigoul Master is going to be at 3k, right? And then whenever your opponent does anything, right, you change Throne, return cards and stuff like that. Excellent. This is really good. Gives them spot removal and all that, right? Well, this is just, you know, just generic removal and all that. Still good. Fork, normal spell. You target a face down monster your opponent controls. Your opponent chooses one of the following effects and you apply that effect. They either change it to face up, attack, or defense, send it to the graveyard, then its owner, aka you, who gave them the face down Mimigoul, right, draws 2 cards. Genuinely, this card is kind of pretty meh, right? Most of the time, they're just gonna take the flip effect and all that, because realistically speaking, do you really want to does your opponent want to give you 2 cards, right, and all that? And then it does have a graveyard effect where you add another one from your deck to your hand. You can only use each for once per turn, which is fine, and of course this is the one that it was revealed a few weeks ago and all that. Charm. Once per chain, during the main phase, if a Mimigoul monster your opponent controls is flipped face up, you can randomly choose a face down card your opponent's extra deck, and if it's a monster that can be special summon to your field, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. If it wasn't, or it could not be special summoned, you banish that card, and you can use this effect twice per turn. Now, on paper, this card seems real good, but realistically, if you are going first, right, there's a 1 in 15 chance you get a really good card or a really bad card, right? Like, say you get your opponent's Promethean Princess, right? Guess what? You are now locked into fire monsters and all that, right? Or you get your opponent's SP Little Knight. That's pretty good in my book, right? And because it's not properly summoned, both Princess and SP Little Knight, right, they can't Princess can't keep coming back with her graveyard effect, and SP Little Knight, I believe, won't be summoned properly back onto the field if it activates its effect to banish 2 monsters, right? Don't quote me on that though, but that's what I believe how it's ruled and all that. The extra deck rip is fine, but it's, you have to pray that it, in order to banish it, you can't special summon it, right? But in the events that you can, you have to special summon it, right? Right, because the special summon isn't. This entire effect is optional, right? But the special summon effect isn't. So you have to either take it or you either have to take it most of the time, or in the rare events that you can't be normally special summoned, you have to banish it, right? It's bad. I think it's a 1-of at best, right? Fork, I could definitely see playing 2 or 3 Fork, right? And all that. Throne and Giant Mimighoul, excellent monsters and all that. Just another way to search all your Mimighoul cards, right? Gives it spot removal, excellent. Throne, obviously the master needs its throne, and this is really good spot removal as well, right? Non-targeted removal is probably the best kind of removal in the game, in my opinion. So being able to just return, it doesn't even target too, so, or destroy, so it just puts it back in the hand. Really good. I like that. Right, of course, if you do a detach 1 material to get master out, of course, right, then you only get 1 card, but hey, I mean, this is still really good right here, and your master's gonna go to 4K on all that. So, and with Giant Mimighoul, right, your master's gonna attack your opponent directly for 4,000 attack. Really good. Yeah. I think these cards are good. I think the worst one here is armor. This right here, I could care less about this effect, right? The only reason I think you play armor is that it's just another name. It's another special summon for you and all that, right? Of course, fairy is really good. This is a really interesting effect on all that. No effects of special summon monsters from the hand. This is probably good against the White Forest stuff. Ubel, would it be? Yeah, I think Ubel would. Yeah, in the sense for Ubel. And of course, Slime is easily the best of the 3 level 1s here. Getting any monster from your deck is fantastic, right? Gets you Master, gets you Dragon. Archfey does also have a effect as well, where it could flip a face-down monster to face-up attack or defense. This is fine, right? And all that, right? But this one doesn't come up often as much. This is probably I think this is the least played one compared to Cerberus and Dragon. But, I mean, it still has its use cases. It will come up, right? And all that. I think this support's really good. I think the deck, I wouldn't say the deck is instantly tier 1. We're going to win the YCS. We're going to win YCS Cancun and stuff like that. I don't think this is, like, the best deck right now, right? Because it's coming in Rage of the Abyss, and it still has to deal with the bigger contenders in the room. You still got to deal with the Azamina stuff, right? Yeah, it's going to be terrifying to deal with. But I do think this deck can hang it up there with the big guys and all that. Especially the fact that they give them, like, the fact that Slime was created. This is excellent. You know, playable. It's barely playable, right? Like, this support's great. It's solid. They knocked it out of this one. They knocked it out. Konami did a great job with this, and I'm very excited to see how it turns out, right? And of course, there's also the idea that, oh, hey, this deck can still play Shifter. I don't care about that, right? Oh, there is one other big elephant in the room. Dominus Impulse. Let me see if I can find it here in Yu-Gi-Oh! No, really? Oh, there we go. Oh, no. Oh, God. See if I can find it in here. With Dominus Impulse. So, Dominus Impulse is also coming out in Rage of the Abyss, right? It is a normal trap that you can also activate in your hand if your opponent controls a card. When a card effect is activated, it includes the effect that special summons a monster, aka the Mimighouls, right? Negate that effect, then if you have a trap in your graveyard, destroy that card. If you activated this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effects of light, earth, and wind monsters for the rest of this duel. This is really big. You want to know why? Because when the Mimighouls get flipped face up, they will not activate because your opponent is controlling a earth monster and all that. So, no Raigeki, no hand rip, right? No special summoning from the deck off a slime, right? Terrible. You gotta pray that your opponent doesn't have a dumbest impulse. But other than that though, the support is fantastic. Give it a 9 out of 10 now, Konami. Great job. Great job. TCG archetype that's doing fantastic in its second wave. Whoo, we can't say that for a few other ones. Anywho, thank you all for watching. See you guys then.